Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I thought I'd show you how to make my little Loomigurumi Spider. Here he is. Now I'm going to tell you about the supplies that we're going to need to make him. I use a Clover Touch 2.75. I find with Loomigurumi I like to use a smaller hook. Just helps me not stretch the band too much, and then you don't get these huge great big holes through your work. You're going to need a stitch marker. If you don't have a stitch marker like this little one here, you can use something just like a C-clip or an S-clip or anything like that. I'm trying to find one here. So I've got a little C-clip here. You can use something like that as a stitch marker if you choose. They work just as well. We're going to use red bands and we're going to use black bands. I have not done a band count. I know I'm very bad about doing band counts. I sort of tend to make things, and then when it's done, Izzy, my little 7-year-old, snaffles it, and basically she would kill me if I was to try and take it apart. So my offer has always been, if you have done a band count, let me know, and I'd very happily put your name and your band count in the description of my video. I will try and do a band count before I actually publish this. We're going to need some googly eyes. Well, I'm using googly eyes. You can just use bands if you choose to. I would maybe use white bands, have a black band in the middle or something, or you could use buttons. They work just as well. I have actually got little splits on the back of my googly eyes that are already there. These are about 7mm. If you don't have the ones with the little loop at the back, it's very easy to make those, and I have a video in my tips and tricks on how you can make how you can thread a band through googly eyes, so I will link that. So please make sure you have your annotations turned on, or look at the cards, which is the little eye at the top right corner of your video, because there I will put the links. I will also put it in the description of the channel, the link to where you can thread a band through your googly eyes. I'm actually using buttons, the button technique, for my legs. If you choose to use buttons, you're going to need 8 of them. These are about, I suppose they're about an inch, half an inch. Let's have a look. Oops. Let's see. They're about 1 centimetre, maybe 1.2. So they're not terribly huge. You'll need 8 of them, 1 for each leg, but I will show you the technique of joining them without the button. I just find that with the button, it's easier because you can move them. So if you have put it in a wrong spot, you can just take it out and move it to a different spot, which is why I like to use the buttons. I have made 7 of these already, and I'm going to show you how to make 1. So this is going to be something that you will have to do on your own because it's quite time consuming. The other thing that I'm going to link on how to do is how to make a threader, a metal threader from a twisty tie. Again, I have a video on how to do that in my tips and tricks, and I find those really helpful. I will again link it, so you'll see it as one of the videos on the top right corner when you press the little I, but it'll also be in the description of the video. So let's get started. I'm going to show you firstly how to do the legs, and as you can see, they've got the little angles to them so that you can make them stand and look right. And I'm going to make 1, you're going to make 8. Black bands, you're going to start with 2, you're going to wrap them around your hook once and twice, just like we do a normal foot for my figures. Take a pair and slide the wrapped band onto the pair. Do not reclaim just yet. We're going to take another pair, and you're going to wrap those pair around your hook, 1 and 2. Then you're going to take the end of these and pop on so that you have the wrapped band between what we already made. Okay, let me zoom in a bit so you can see this a little bit more clear. Here we go. Make sure we're in focus. Now, with another 2 bands, we're going to very carefully slide this over. I like to do the first 2 bands, then I do the wrapped band, and then I do my last 2 bands so that I don't mess things up. Now we're going to use 4. We're going to use in triples. We're using triple bands for these next ones. Okay, because it gives it a bit more stability, a bit more strength, a bit more oomph, so that they stand up nicely. Okay, so we're going to have 5 sets of those. So there's 3 bands on here, and slide that through. So that's 1, another 3 bands, 2, oh sorry, that was my wrist clicking, 3, 4. Now on the 5th set, this is number 5, you're not going to completely reclaim these, you're going to put that on and just hold it like this for a second, don't reclaim, okay? So leave this side here, taking another 2, wrap around once and twice, and then put those 3 back on. This is so that we can have an angle, so we've got an angle at the ankle here, but also an angle at the knee, alright? And now again, working with 3 bands, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I was going to say 7 pairs, but they're not, 7 triplets sitting here ready with 3. You're going to put those on the end of your hook, slide the first set of bands over, and then the wrapped band that was in the middle, and then the other 3 over. So this is 1, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, I did one too many, and 7, so we don't need these ones here. What we're going to do with this, using 1, okay, now for the button you just use 1, so you pull the single band through. I'm going to show you how to attach the button. What you're going to do, take your metal threader, pop it through one side here like that, okay, so it's on one side of that single band, and you're going to get your button, pop your threader through one side, and then the opposite side you'll go back through like so. Oops, try not to stab yourself. There we are. So I'm back through. Take your threader off. You're going to put that side that had the threader on, which is through your buttonholes here, put that on your hook. Okay, take the side that's closest to you up and over, splay out, and pop your button through like so, and that makes it nice and secure on here. Okay, if we were not doing the button method, and I have to undo this if you don't have the buttons to do this, what you're going to do, I'm going to take a step backwards here. So I've gone through, my single band that I went through last with is on my button, still here threaded on my button. And you can pre-thread your button and do it that way if you want. So if you were doing it to attach to the body by itself, after your last pair here, your last triple here, you're going to put 2 bands through. Oops, I've lost a band, hang on a second. Come here, come here. No, 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 you're not going to escape me. I'm sneakier than you. So there we go. So we put 2 bands on, and you would put it on a holding hook, and we would wait. I'm going to take that off, and I'm just going to put it on a holding hook like that, and you'd have 8 of these waiting. So when we come to put those on the body, I'll show you how to do this one like that, and then the others we will all have our little button on. Alright, so that's the legs. Pause the video, let's make 8 of them so that you have 8 all together, and then we'll get started on the actual body of our spider. Alright, we're going to start with our body for our spider, and we're going to be doing what we call in Australia a redback spider, but over here I believe you call them the black widow. So they have the red spot on their back. So we're going to start with red bands, so count out 6. 2, 4 and 6, and we'll have an extra 1. I'm going to show you how to do it on the loom because I just think it's easier to actually show you if you're a bit new to this. If you are new to Loomigurumi, please, I really recommend that you have a look at my beginner's guide to Loomigurumi. Again, I will link that. In that there's a playlist as well where I show you, I go through the stitches, the different stitches very slowly, very clearly, close up so you can see. It's a really good place to start because some of these stitches can be a bit confusing if you've not done them before. Anyway, we're going to start doing our magic ring. You have your loom peg facing away from you and you take a single band and you wrap it once and twice, twice around your peg. And then using one band at a time, you're going to put your hook through and pull the band through and reclaim. And then put one over the other and budge it around. And you're going to do that for all 6 of these little bands. And you're going to loop it together like that. But then you're going to join these 2 together by taking the first one and putting it over the second one. Okay? And this is what we do to make a magic ring with loom bands. Again, have a look at my tutorial tips and tricks for Loomigurumi, and there is one called Magic Ring Made Easy. You can do this just on your hook if you are proficient enough. It's completely up to you. You do not have to use a loom to do it. I had somebody say, "You can't say this is loomless. You did the magic ring on the loom." I do it to make it easier to show you. As I said, you don't need to use it. So thank you, person that was screaming at me. This is where our stitch marker is going to come into play. And this is to indicate the beginning of each round that we do. So this here is our first stitch, this little one here, okay? Not this one here. That's just coming, that's the band coming up to the stitch. This is the actual stitch. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And number 6 is actually on our hook. We're going to do what's called an increase, which means we do 2 stitches in the same stitch, and that will give us, by the time we've finished, instead of having 6 stitches around our work, we're going to have 12. So take your first band and pull it through, and you'll do a single crochet like this, and you'll put your stitch marker on it. Then you're going to go back through that first stitch and do another single crochet, and that's what we call our increase. And then do the same in the second stitch. 1, and then back through again, the same stitch. 2, and for the third. 1, 2. 1, 2, 'We're now going to do a single crochet followed by an increase for our next round. So going through your first stitch, and you're still going to be using red. We're going to do a single crochet, whoops, move your stitch marker, so that's the new first stitch, and then we do an increase, which is the 2 in the same stitch. So there's number 1, here's number 2, single crochet, whoops, through both loops, followed by 2. Single, and 2. Single, and 2. Okay, so this is the little top. Okay, that's going to be the top of our little spider. We're now changing to black, so we can get rid of the red. You don't need any more of the red. All we need now are black bands. We're going to start with our next round doing 2 single crochets followed by an increase. So to change colour, you're going to go through that first stitch, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So pull it through and add the red loop to that black band, and one over the other, and move your stitch marker. In the next stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. Oopsie. Okay, and then in the next stitch we do 2. 1 and 2. There we go. 1, 1 and 2. We do this all the way around. My last stitch, I'll do my increase. Now, do you see here, just before I do my second stitch from my increase, we have the red band and the black band here. So this is where we did our colour change. This little black band that's sort of going at an angle is our slip stitch. It's not actually a stitch that we need to go through. If you do go through it, you'll find that you're increasing. So you just sort of leave that little black one alone. We do need to do our second stitch here for our increase. And now we leave that little slip stitch alone, which is right here, and we go through the stitch that has our stitch marker in, which is our first stitch. We're now doing 3 single crochets and then an increase. Okay, so we go our first stitch, move your stitch marker, 2, 3, and then an increase. I will see you at the end of this round, because I'm sure you don't want this to be 100 hours long, and it might be. We do another 3, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. Alright, so I'll catch you back when we're at the end of this round. So our next round is going to be 4 single crochets followed by an increase. So let's get started with that. Here's my first one here. 1, move your stitch marker. 2, 3, 4, and increase. So that's the pattern. Let's go all the way around and I will catch you at the end again. This is forcing you to pause so you can't scream at me that I'm going too fast. I'll catch you at the end of the 4 and an increase. Alright, so I've finished my round of 4 single crochets and an increase. Now we have 8 rounds to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're my little pile of 8 bands here, which I use to count how many rounds I've gone through. I'm going to start by going through my first stitch and taking one from that little pile. So I know now that I have 7 rounds left to do. This is just so that you don't have to stop and write things down. I'm going to go all the way around just doing single crochet until I have done 8 rounds. Okay, so you're going to join me doing this, and I will catch you back once we have both done 8 rounds. And every time you start a round, take one from your little pile here, and that will count your rounds for you. As I said, we're just doing single crochet, and I will see you at the end of 8 rounds. Alrighty then, I have done my 8 rounds, and so my body of my spider is looking like this. Now what we're going to do is when we did the increases, we did a single crochet and an increase, 2 single crochets and an increase, 3 single crochets and an increase, 4 single crochets and an increase. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease, 3 single crochets and a decrease, 2 single crochets and a decrease, and then a single crochet and a decrease, and we're going to stop at that point. So let's start. I've done my first stitch and I've moved my stitch marker. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our decrease, we're going to do the invisible type. We're going to go through just that back loop on the 2 stitches and do our decrease. And then we count another 4. So it's 4 and a decrease for this round, 3 and a decrease for the next round, 2 and a decrease, and then 1 and a decrease. Okay, and I will catch you back when we have all done or completed our single crochet and a decrease. So as I said, 4 and a decrease, 3 and a decrease, 2 and a decrease, 1 and a decrease. All right, and these are rounds. So you know you're doing a whole round of 4 and a decrease, a whole round of 3 and a decrease, a whole round of 2 and a decrease, a whole round of 1 and a decrease, and we'll meet back up. So I am back, and as you can see, I still have this little hole where I'm going to be able to stuff my my little body, which is good. Now, before I'm going to stuff, I actually want to have a look at where I'm going to place the legs. As you know, I've made the legs with a button on the end. So what I thought I would do is just sort of see where I want to put them. And also we can make the head now and position that before we stuff it, which might make things a little bit easier. I'm going to sort of squidge this down a bit. And let me see, where are my bands? I need some different colour than black. Let's try, I've got yellow handy here. Let's try. We need 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I squish this down, I'm going to go maybe about here. Oops. I'm going to poke my hook about on this line, I think. Let's see how many lines down we've gone on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're on about the 5th line down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So about here is where we want to add our feet. Okay, so I'm just going to put my hook there just so I know. So it's about halfway down, and all you would do if you are using buttons is you just pull the bands apart a little bit and slip the button through like that. And the beauty of this is you can actually adjust these. Well, you can adjust the angle of these too, because we've got the little angles on them, but you can adjust these legs to be in the right spot. If you actually sew them in, you're sort of a bit, you know, trapped as to where, without unsewing them again, without unpicking them. So I'm going to kind of put them like with one space between them so that they're sort of evenly spaced out around here, and I just thought it might be a little easier to do while we have it unstuffed. See what I mean? Oh, we'll leave that one till last. That's the one that's got that doesn't have the button on it, but I will show you how to do that. So I'm just sticking my little legs in here, and you see you can twist them and make them. Now do you see how that's a bit closer? So I'm going to take that one out and budge it along a bit. I think that was a little bit too close, so maybe I'll put it here. Where shall I put it? Maybe here? Let's see how this looks. So that might look a bit better. And then the fourth one. And this is exactly why I like the buttons, because you can just say, okay, that's too close, that's too far. No, I want it left a bit, up a bit, left, right a bit, down a bit. And you can just, as I said, angle the little legs so that they look like feet and knees. There we go. And they're going to be a bit wiggly wobbly because, I mean, they're just made out of bands. They're not, that great. Now, we're going to do the same on the other side. So you want to try and find the same spot. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So probably about here. Let's try our first one and let's see if it's about right. Pop through there, buddy. Thank you very much. I think that could be about right. Angle. That could be about right. What do you think? I think it's about right height-wise, maybe a bit high height-wise. Let's move it down one. Let's see. How about here? That looks alright. We'll put that there, twist it a bit so that the angle is right. So now we'll continue doing what we did before. So we leave about 1 and 2, so 1 and 2, so I'm going to try, oops, maybe about here. Push that through. Bend the knee. Bend your knees. Bend your toes. There we go. And around a bit more, so probably here. And if you haven't gone out and bought buttons, sometimes when you buy clothing that's got buttons, you've got the extra little buttons on the inside. I've stolen a few of those from clothes that don't fit Izzy anymore. Bad mummy. Yeah, so we have one more, and this is the one that I don't have the button on. So how to do it? What you would do, find the spot that you want to put it in. Now obviously I want it to be married up to where it is over here. So I'm going to say about maybe here, like so, maybe a bit lower. I've got to take this off, I've got to pinch it. Okay, so let's find where we want it to be. I'm going to say about here. You think that looks good, or maybe have I gone too far? Maybe here? What do you think? Maybe here. So, go through where you're going. Let me zoom in. Go through where you're going on your spider. Okay? Take one side. There's 2 bands, 2 little loops. Hold the other side. Pull it through. Like that. Reclaim. You're going to put one over the other. And then you splay this one out that's left on your hook, and you push the leg through like that, and just leave it like that. I don't think it looks as good, but I mean it is just as effective. And if you don't have buttons, see, I think it moves around a bit, so I will change that to you can't control the angle of it as well. But if you don't have buttons, it works. So, I mean, it's not a big thing. So I'm going to leave that there. Now, you can put the head either side, either or. Let's make the head. and then we can attach that and sew it in before we actually stuff our little dude. With my loom, I'm going to do a magic ring with 6. And I'm going to have a single band to wrap around my little peg here. Now again, you don't have to use a loom to do this, you can do it just with your hook, completely up to you. As I say every single time, I find it easier to show you what I'm doing when I use my loom. I just feel you can visualize it a little better. Though I do have to admit, when I'm doing these myself, I just do use my my hook. So here's my magic ring. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So go through your first stitch. We're going to be doing an increase all the way around. You will need a stitch marker of sorts. Let me find one. Where's my stitch marker gone? Here we are. When you buy these stitch markers, these are the Clover stitch markers. I do really like them. They come in a packet with a gazillion in, so it's lovely. You've got lots. So we've done 1 stitch in that first stitch. I'm going to do another single crochet in there. So we're going from 6 little stitches all the way around to 12. I thought I said I was going to zoom in and then I didn't go and do it, did I? Let me zoom in. Maybe I did. So how many of you are making this and are terrified of spiders? I know some people are so scared of spiders they can't even play the toy one. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I have to admit I'm not scared to get them out of the house. Alright, now we're going to do a round of single crochet followed by an increase. So push your hook through that first stitch, do a single crochet, move your stitch marker, and now we do an increase. 1 and 2. Did have a big spider. It was about the size of my hand when I lived in Australia, and we had what's called a carport. I don't know if you know what a carport is. It's not like a garage. It's not an enclosed area. It's undercover, but the sides are open. So we had to park my car in the carport, and one of my lights had blown, so I had to run from the carport to my front door, and it was dark, and obviously a spider had thought, oh, this is a perfect place to build a web. And because I couldn't see where I was going, I ran straight into it and the spider ran up my face. Well, I have to say I did wake up the neighbours. I did not have an accident, but I did scream like a little girl. It was big. Alright, now we're going to do 2 rounds of single crochet only. Okay, so just single crochet all the way around. You should have 18 stitches, I believe. So 1, this is number 18. We're going to do another round just of single crochet. Move your stitch marker to that first stitch again. Now we're going to do a single crochet and a decrease. See? Get my stitch marker out of the way. My single crochet, move my stitch marker, and we'll do a decrease just in the outer loops. Single crochet, decrease. Oops, I went through just the back loop for my single crochet. Let's do that properly. Single crochet, decrease, single crochet, oopsie, decrease, single crochet, decrease, and here's a decrease. Now, as you can tell, this is a very small little area that we want to try and stuff. Oops, and I'm busy making it unravel. I'm going to do a single crochet in this first stitch to move my stitch marker so I can get it out the way a bit. Now, with this little head, where we want to line it up, I'm going to line it up so that the top of the head is sort of in line with the top. Let's zoom out so you can see. Excuse me. So the top of the head, if you squish it down a bit, is in line with just about the top of the legs. So it's sort of all in line together. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I figure that's sort of a good position for it to be. Now, the way that we're going to anchor this, I did try it with a button. It was too wibbledy. I didn't really like how that worked. So we are going to use anchor bands, okay? So we're going to stuff this and put our anchor bands on, and then we'll attach it to the body. Then we will stuff the body, or then we'll do the eyes, and then we'll stuff the body, and then we'll close up. So I'm going to loop my little stitch marker onto the outside so I can put a tiny bit of stuffing in there. Obviously I don't want too much because it's only a tiny little space, but I do want it to have some shape, and I don't want it to collapse on itself. Again, the trick with stuffing is don't put too much in. If you put too much in, the bands will stretch out of shape, and you will see you'll see all the stuffing through it, and it really doesn't look very nice. So I've put a little bit of stuffing in there, trying to make sure that it's all in. And now I'm going to close this up. So, and I'm just going to do decreases, and I'm not going through the back loop only, I'm going through both loops. I'm going to get rid of my stitch marker, I don't need that right now. And I'm just going to gently push the stuffing down so that I have access to my stitches without getting the stuffing in it. Okay, so that's one. And I do find I sort of, with these, I twist my hook this way and then I twist it the other way to get it through the other band, and I found that works quite well. So here's one, two, I know it's tricky to do, but do the best you can. Bits of fluff all over the place. Whoops. Now, I want to make sure that it is closed up, but this is going to be against the body, so if you can't, if it's too fiddly to close it so completely, kind of leave it like this and just do a slip stitch and join those together, and just pop the slip stitch, the tie-off band, inside the body or the eye of head, whatever you've made. You want that to be inside, and you don't want too much fluff to be coming through, so try and get rid, you don't want it to be too fluffy. Alright, so that is our head. Now we need to put eyes on this, and as I said, I do have a video showing you how to make a little cut on the back of the eyes, and you can then thread through. I will link that video. Take a single band, put it in your threader. I'll again show you the video on how to make a threader, and pop that through the little slit you have made on the eyes like so, and that's all you need to do. Now with this, I think if you go, if this is the center, this is where you did your magic ring, you want to sort of go 1 and 2 and maybe just poke your hook up here. You can do this once you've joined it, and it's probably better to join it to the head, because otherwise you might find that you're ending up putting the head on backwards or upside down or whatever. So let's do that. Let's attach our head. I'm going to go through and add some anchor bands, because I hate sewing. So 1, I'll go a bit closer, and I'm tying, just tying it like a little knot in it. 2, just a loose little slip knot. 3, I want to make sure I've gone through at least 2 bands. I'm having trouble finding 2. There's 2. 4 and 5. Okay, so there's my 5 little bands. What I'm going to do, I'm going to position, I'm going to make sure that these are sort of splayed out so I can see where where the anchor bands are, okay? And I know it's a bit tricky and everybody hates sewing things on. So what I'm going to do, we've got the anchor band on, I'm going to go through the body of my spider, okay, and pull the anchor band through and out. And then I'm going to go through the next part of the body and grab the anchor band and put it back and through the band that's on my hook. Through the next part, grab the band that's the anchor band, pull it through and through the loop that's on my hook. And this is how I'm going to go through and do this. Go through the body, grab the anchor band, pull it through and through the loop. And I've got one more to do here. Grab the anchor band, pull it back through the body and through, and I'm hoping that that will stay on. I'm going to splay it out and pop that over the head to keep it in place. I know it's not the prettiest way of sewing it, but I feel that it's a little bit secure. Okay, so this is how I'm doing my head. If you feel that you need it to be up higher, that's up to you. But this is how I'm doing it, and once this is filled up as well, it's a little better. I'm going to now look at where I'm going to place my eyes, and I want my eyes to be on the top of its head. So I'm going to place one here. I'm going to put my hook through where I want it, grab one side of the band that has the eye, pull it through, reclaim the other side of the band and pull it through the other loop that's on your hook, and then I'm going to splay open and wrap that band around the eye, and that is how I attach the eyes. So on the other side at the same spot, and actually try and do it the same way so that you'll find that it's looking in the same direction. Splay it open, push that little googly eye through, and you can sort of adjust, whoops, get out of the way band, you can adjust them so that they look up or down or whatever. It's completely up to you. So there's the eyes. Now let's stuff our spider. I have my stitch marker hooked onto the outside. Take some stuffing. And stuff. Should we make him a him or a her? I'll call her Charlotte. Okay, I might do a tiny bit more. But I don't want it to stretch the bands out too much. Pushing that in. And now I'm going to close her up. So to close up, you're going to take your hook and put it back on your stitch marker, and all we're going to do is decreases until we get her closed. Go through both loops. You don't want to be doing just the outside loop for the closing up. No single crochet in between. Oopsie. Oops, let's go through the right number of bands. And through the last one and do a slip stitch, pull it nice and tight, and again you're going to hide that inside the body of your spider. Push all the stuffing in. There we go, here she is. What do you think? Move her little legs around. This one I am going to change so that it's on a button, so again I can move it if I want to. I just don't find that I can angle it correctly, but that doesn't mean to say that it's not a good way if you don't have buttons of attaching. I'm just being pedantic. I have to say I do like the little button technique. I find, oh, I've already got my button's already threaded, silly me. So put that back on. Come on, Kate, get with the program. Goodness me. Thread that through. There we go. One over the other, splay open, and pop the button through. Where have we got a limbless spider? It's always more difficult to put the button in when you've stuffed it, I think. Come here, we're doing spider surgery. There we are. There we go. Move his little head up. You could, if you wanted to, if you feel that her head is looking down too much, you could use a band and secure it. If you went through here and had a band and attached it to the back of her head here. Try and do it so we can discreetly hide it. Pull it through the back of her head. I mean, you could do that and then stretch it over and wrap it around. If you want her head to be a little closer to her body, you can stitch it up closer to the body. That's up to you, really, how you want to do it. But I think they look quite cute. There you go. Have some spider friends. Happy Halloween when it gets here. I hope you're making these for Halloween. I know I'm a bit early. People are saying to me, why are you so early? Well, you need to order the bands, and if you're making gifts for people, you need time to make the gifts. So I always try and give people lots of time to order their stock in and make their things so that they're ready and in time for the holidays when they get here. So in answer to your question, that's why. Have a good one. Bye.